Hey everyone, and welcome back to the React for Beginners series. In the last episode, we went over passing props to our components, which allowed us to customize our components as we call them. In this episode, we're going to look at one of the core features of React, which is the concept of state. So what exactly is state? Imagine a scenario. Imagine we have a button on a page that needs to record the number of times it is clicked by a user. Let's assume this button is a React component. When the page is launched, the button should say 0, and then when clicked once, it'll go to 1, then clicked again, it'll go to 2, and so forth. We can't do this easily with props because this button needs to be storing real-time changing data. So how do we do this? This is where state comes in. State in React is basically the concept of properties and data that can change and adapt within a component. Every React component has its own state, which is completely independent of the state of other components. When the state of a component changes, the component will automatically re-render itself to show the updated state. In our button example, here's how this works. Our button is a React component that has its own state. Somewhere in our state, we can have a count variable. Every time the user clicks the button, the count variable is incremented, and then the button re-renders itself. Because we have a count variable in our state, every time it changes, the button will automatically update itself. The concept of automatic re-rendering of components is a very important feature of React, so much so that it's why React is called React in the first place. React components can react to actions done on a page because of state. State is what makes React very dynamic and, well, reactive. So on paper, the idea of a button holding a counting state is a simple way to show the concept of state. However, in practice, a button holding a count isn't something you're probably going to be using in an actual app. So what are some common applications of state in React? Imagine you have a nav bar that has a drop-down menu for your profile and settings. To flip a drop-down on and off, we could have a Boolean state that would change each time the drop-down is clicked. The first time it is clicked, the state is set to true, so the drop-down shows. Then it is clicked again and goes back to false, so the drop-down goes away, and so forth. Or imagine you have a list of tasks to do on your web app. You want to be able to add and remove tasks as well as marking them as completed. On our page, we could have an array in our state that holds these tasks. Each time we want to add a new task, we append a task string to our array state, or each time we want to remove a task, we could remove an entry from our array state. And when each of these actions is taken, our page will automatically re-render to show the updated task list. The potential use cases of React State are pretty widespread, so without wasting any time, let's look at how we can actually implement React State in our code. We left off having 3 buttons on our main app page, where within each button we have some customizable props. For now, let's just remove all these props except for color. So I'm actually going to remove 2 of the buttons too. I'm going to take 2 of these buttons away. Let's remove this function and message prop. We'll go ahead and delete this function here. And then let's also modify in our button.jsx as well. So let's just get rid of the function and message for now, and then which means we will get rid of this onClick event just like that, so our component is back to the way we had it originally. And actually, I'm going to also take away this text argument here and make sure I take it away in button.jsx as well, because we're wanting to do a scenario. Let's just say we want to do the scenario that we went over. We have a button that will show how many times it has been clicked. It's pretty simple to do this, so let me just show you. The first thing I want to do is import the primary React function used to declare state, and that's a function called useState. So to import it up here at the top of our code, or this component, we'll just type import useState, and it should autofill here this useState, and we can just press enter and it'll import it from the React library as such. Then to actually use this function and declare some state in our component, all we need to do is this. So I'll make some space here. And let's make sure we're down in our component function, but not the return statement because that's our JSX. So we have this space up here in our function body where we'll actually make our state. So to use this useState function, we need to use this syntax. So I'll write it and then I'll explain it in just a moment. So I'm going to write const, I'm going to say count, set count, and then say equals useState 0 as this. So what does this line here actually mean? So const is the standard for declaring React state variables. And then inside the square brackets here, we're getting 2 variables, which we can name whatever we want. In our case, we have count and set count. The first variable here is always the actual state variable that we're declaring. And then the second is always the function that we'll use to set our state variable. We usually always call these functions the setter functions because they set our state. It's standard practice to name the setter function name to be equal to set, and then whatever the name of the state variable is. So in our case, if we declare a variable called count, we should make the setter function set count. If we had a state variable called, let's say, filter, for instance, we should make this function setFilter. You're not going to get any errors if you don't follow this, but this is standard practice as it makes the code a bit more understandable. And then all we're doing is setting this equal to the useState function we just imported from React. The value we put in the useState parentheses here, right here in our case 0, will always be the value that the state is initialized with. So in our case, the state is being initialized with the value 0. If you're new to JavaScript, this line probably looks a little bit confusing because the syntax isn't super obvious. Basically, we're doing something called array destructuring. When we call this useState function here, it's actually returning an array of variables, where the first is the state variable and the second is the state function. By doing this notation here with const and then we're doing count and setCount, all we're doing is accessing and naming these variables, basically just doing a multiple variable declaration. If that still doesn't make a ton of sense, don't worry, because as long as you know how to write state declarations like this, that's all you really need to know. Now what do we do once we've created our state variable and function? Now let's look at our JSX. And because we removed the message prop, let's now instead fill our p field with our state count variable. So I'm just going to fill this instead of saying text, we'll just fill it with count here. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this. And now if we look at our page here and look at our button, we have the value 0 inside of the button here. That's because we specified 0 as the starting value when we call this useState function. But now we need to do something to the button whenever it is clicked. In our last episode, we made an onClick event that we used to show our function, or the notify function that we had. So let's actually do the same thing in this one. Let's make an onClick event and then use that to modify our state. So to do that, just like last time, we will type onClick here and make sure we have equals and then curly brackets, and we'll just space it out. So separate from there. And now we have an onClick tag that we can plug in whatever function we want. And this is where our state function will actually come in, or our setter function. Every time the button is clicked, we want to call the state function to set our state to a new value. So inside this onClick, we want to do something like this. We're going to do an arrow function like this. So empty, we'll say empty, parentheses for now, arrow, and then we're going to call our setter function we just made setCount, and we're going to count in, or we're going to pass in count plus 1 like this. Anytime that we use a setter function like setCount, the argument that we pass into our function will become the new value of the state. So in our case, we want to look at the existing count and then just add 1 to it, hence why we're doing count plus 1. So whenever this button is clicked, we're accessing our setCount function and passing in our current count plus 1, which basically just increments it by 1. If we go ahead and save this app now, and then we look at our page, let's test it out. So the button starts at 0, and then we click it, and it goes to 1, and then we click it, it goes to 2 again, and every time we click it now, it is incrementing the count by 1. So we now have a working button clicking component. Let's go back to our button component real quick so I can clarify a few things. One thing you may be wondering is, why do we need a function to change our count variable? Couldn't we just, inside this onClick, just write something like, let's just say count plus 1 like that? Well, you could, but it wouldn't actually do anything. If I went ahead and just save this page now, you see our button's at 17 because that's what it was at before. But now if I click it, and I'm clicking it over and over again, nothing actually happens. So the point of React having setter functions is to let the page know that the state is being updated. The setter function is what triggers the re-render of the app and is what updates your component. Without it, if you were to just try and modify the state directly, like this, we're just doing count plus 1, nothing is going to happen. So long story short, anytime you're going to update any state at all, you need to use the setter function and just pass in whatever you want the new value of your state to be. Without it, it will not work correctly. So I'm just going to go ahead and Control Z this, and then turn it back to normal, and then go ahead and save. And now our button is working properly once again. What's neat about using state is that any time that we now want to render in a button component, each single button that we render in will have its own state. So for example, let's go into app here. Let's actually render in a few more buttons. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it twice. And let's just change the colors here. Let's put this one as green. Let's put this one as purple. And then we're going to go ahead and save it like this. I'm going to refresh the page so it's not on 34 anymore. And then now if we try to click on any of these buttons, notice that they all don't update. Because we've made state inside of our component, the state is actually unique to every single component that we render. So 15 is unique to this button, 0 is unique to this button, and now it would be updated if I clicked it. And basically each button would have its own unique state counting variable. Another one of the great things about React is that we can store as many pieces of state as we want. So maybe we had some piece of state we needed in our app that holds a filter for our component. So to make a filter piece of state, we could just add to our counts that appear. We can make another line, let's just say like const filter, set filter like this, and then say useState, and then want to initialize its value to, let's just say, none. So by default, we're setting this filter state to be equal to the string none. Then if we wanted to display this filter state, we could just write filter wherever we needed it. And then if we wanted to update it, we could just use our setFilter setter function to change the filter to another string. Because we're not actually going to be using a filter piece of state, I'm going to delete this for now, but just know that we could have as many pieces of state as we want. So we could literally have like 100 of these useStates inside of one of our components. And in fact, many React components and programs you may look at will have multiple pieces of state in each component. Because React is all about reactivity, it's common to see multiple pieces of state inside of a component that may interact with each other. Before we look at more complex examples involving multiple pieces of state, let's look at another simple example where state could be implemented. For our next example, let's imagine we have a text box where we can type some words. As we type the words, our state will be updated and posted in a paragraph tag below the text box. So to do this, let's go ahead and look at our file explorer here. Let's go into our source folder, and let's make a new file. Let's just call it, we'll say textbox.jsx. And then inside this, we'll write a standard React component function as export function textbox like this. And then we'll go ahead and just specify a return statement where we will just say like an empty tag like this. First things first, let's import useState from React just like we did with our button component. So I'm going to write import useState, and then it'll autofill like this. So now we've imported our useState function. And then let's actually go into our component here, and let's make a function to actually make a piece of state here. So we'll do const, and then we're going to name our piece of state text, and our setter function will just be setText. And then for now, we just want to set the text to be defaulted to, let's just say, an empty string. So basically, again, all this line is doing is we're accessing React's useState function, and we are setting this equal to empty string at first. This is our actual state variable, and this is our state setter function. So if we want to actually access this state, we can get text, and if we want to change this state, we can use setText. Inside of our return statement, which should have some JSX, let's make some stuff happen. The first thing we want to do is make our actual text box, which we will use to set our state. So to do this, let's use JSX's built-in input tag. So to do that, we can just write input like this, and then it should autofill a closing tag for this. Input is basically just a text field where you can have the user just input whatever text you want from your keyboard. And then every time we type something, we want to update our text. So we can use our setText function that we made in our useState line. To do this, we can use the onChange feature of JSX. OnChange is just a tag we can pass into our input tag that allows us to specify some action we want to do every time the input is changed. So let me show you how to do this. Inside of our input tag here, the opening tag, let's make an argument called onChange. And then let's make equals and then curly brackets. And then inside of here, we need to pass in some function to be executed to basically take some action each time our text changes. By default, the first argument passed into onChange will be the actual text object within the text box. Most people will just denote this as E because it's just standard practice. So in our little arrow function, let's just write E and then arrow and then set text to E. Now, if this E were just a string of text, this would work. However, the input box stores E as an object, and to access the pure string from the text box, we need to write e.target.value like this. And once we've done that, we're now capturing the text from the text box. So in summary, here's all this is doing. We have a JSX input tag that will create a typeable text box for us. We're accessing its onChange property, which will do some specified action each time the text changes. Any value of text is stored in this E object, and if we want to access the raw text in the object, we need to do e.target.value. So what we're doing is calling our setText function, which is just our setter function for our text state, and setting it equal to the string. Let me show you how this works in action. So I'll go ahead and just save this file here. And actually, before we run it, we want to display our state to actually show you how it works a little easier. So I'm going to make just, let's say a p tag right here. And then all I want to do is just display what our text state is currently equal to. So we'll just access it using curly brackets and then text as such. And remember, just as a reminder, anytime you want to put JavaScript within JSX, you always want to use curly brackets and you don't want to go without them, or else it will interpret it as literal text. So I'll go ahead and just save this file now. Now let's go into our app.jsx component and import this component in that we just made and render it. So we called it textbox. So let's just say import textbox, and then it should autofill based on the pathing. And then let's just go ahead and actually delete the buttons we have here for now. And let's instead just render a text box. Let's say text box, make sure you want to spell it exactly with capitalization. And then we can just render it in like that. And now, once we go ahead and save this, we can actually now test what this component actually does. You can see now we just have what looks like an empty text box on our screen here. Because we made it an input field, we can click inside of it and type whatever we want. So if we just go ahead and type hello, for instance, you'll see it prints out hello right underneath. And that, all this is here, this hello right here, is basically just our p tag printing off the state. I could type literally whatever I wanted and it would update the state perfectly. So let me just say like, hello, in this episode, we're looking at state and how to use it in React. And you'll see it prints off exactly what I'm typing below in this p tag. Again, that is just this text here. And because we're using this JSX onChange property, every single time we change any letter at all in this text box, our state is updated. And because React is great about being reactive, it is literally re-rendering the component every single time I change anything. So it shows me typing in real time. So if I were to go into this box and I were to literally just like delete the T off end of React here, like that, the component is actually completely re-rendering very fast in the background. And if I were to delete more, re-renders again right here. If I were to type a letter in, it would re-render and so forth. And what that does is allows to update the state in real time so that you can access it like this, where it can display somewhere on your site or use it for other purpose you may use it for. And this is what's really cool about React. Each component we have can be broken into its own code chunk, and within that code chunk, we can store data that updates in real time and makes a web application completely reactive. 99% of the time, if you look at modern web pages and see some really cool and interactive web pages, they're probably using React or some other framework that's like React. Reactivity is not something that vanilla JavaScript excels at super well, and realistically, it's so much easier to build reactive web apps in React than with JavaScript alone. It's like comparing building a house with industrial equipment versus building it by hand. State is one of the key building blocks of React, and I'd argue probably the most important one, because it's what makes React, well, React. In the very next video, we'll use what we've learned about props and state to look at how we can handle events and how we can extend state functions with the function we call useEffect. We've already done a bit of event handling with onClick and onChange, but we'll do a deeper dive in the next episode. I'll see you in the next one.